global economy in the wake of President Trump's tariff trade war.
Major trading partners, it could engage in bilateral talks with countries on new trade arrangements.
The Great Tech War, China's chip crisis, and South Korea's strategic shift. The Asian tech world is experiencing a major transformation, driven by rising American pressure, the resurgence of Trump-era tariffs, and South Korea's strengthening ties with the United States. These developments have significantly impacted China's semiconductor imports, leading to a 31% decline in chip purchases from South Korea. As China struggles to secure vital components, especially for its booming electric vehicle (EV) sector, analysts are questioning whether Beijing is facing a chip crisis. Could this shortage disrupt China's technological ambitions? Why has South Korea chosen to align itself more closely with the U.S.? And what are the broader implications of this escalating chip war? South Korea's dilemma, choosing a side in the tech battle. For years, the U.S.-China technology rivalry has intensified, particularly in semiconductors and artificial intelligence. South Korea, home to semiconductor giants Samsung and SK Hynix, plays a crucial role in global chip supply. China, on the other hand, relies heavily on Korean chips for industries ranging from smartphones to electric vehicles. However, American export restrictions and licensing rules have made it increasingly difficult for China to access South Korean chips. On March 17, 2025, official trade data confirmed that South Korea's semiconductor exports to China had dropped by 31% year-on-year, a figure that some economic experts describe as a black hole in China's chip supply. A senior South Korean trade official stated, "As U.S. restrictions tighten and our alliance with Washington grows stronger, we are willing to lose part of the Chinese market to maintain strategic partnerships." This shift has sparked intense diplomatic discussions in Seoul, Washington, and Beijing. The U.S. expands its influence in South Korea. On March 16, 2025, American officials met with the South Korean Minister of Commerce, urging better access to Korea's automotive and home appliance markets. They also sought deeper cooperation in semiconductors, reinforcing their push to limit China's technological growth. However, if South Korea makes concessions to American demands, how will China react? For years, China had relied on South Korean chips to compensate for its own production limitations, particularly in high-performance memory chips and processors. Beijing's long-term goal, achieving chip independence through initiatives like Made in China 2025, has yet to be realized. The latest figures confirm that China's reliance on imports remains high, with access to these crucial chips now rapidly shrinking. Impact on China's electric vehicle industry. China dominates the global EV market, producing vast quantities of batteries, semiconductors, and automotive electronics. However, U.S. tariffs, export bans, and licensing restrictions are making it increasingly difficult for Chinese automakers to source critical components. South Korea's alignment with the U.S. threatens to dismantle China's comfortable supply chain, potentially derailing its ambitious EV expansion plans. China's countermoves in the U.S. tariff-first strategy. Despite these challenges, China still holds significant leverage. South Korean firms depend on Chinese factories for production of smartphones, consumer electronics, and other high-tech goods. In the past, China has used its vast consumer market as an economic bargaining tool. However, U.S. trade policies have tilted the balance in South Korea's favor. The Trump administration strategy of imposing tariffs first and negotiating later has pushed Seoul closer to Washington, reinforcing the belief that aligning with the U.S. is more beneficial than trying to balance between the two superpowers. U.S. Senator Marco Rubio, speaking on March 16, 2025, highlighted this shift. The U.S. will impose tariffs to protect its industries first, then sit at the table with the rest of the world. This statement reaffirms Washington's America First approach, encouraging allies like South Korea to prioritize U.S. markets over Chinese partnerships. Will China find alternative supply chains? Faced with growing isolation in the global semiconductor ecosystem, China is working to diversify its chip supply by strengthening ties with Taiwan, Malaysia, and Japan. However, these efforts are complicated by geopolitics. Taiwan remains under the U.S. security umbrella, limiting China's influence. Japan and Malaysia have historically aligned more closely with the U.S. South Korea's shift towards Washington adds further pressure on Beijing. If this trend continues, China may find itself increasingly dependent on its own semiconductor industry, a sector where it still lags behind global leaders. The bigger picture, a shift in global technology power. South Korea's closer ties with the U.S. present both risks and opportunities. While some Korean companies worry about losing access to China's massive market, others believe that a stronger U.S. partnership will bring investment incentives, R&D funding, and new market opportunities. On the other hand, China is unlikely to sit idle. It could retaliate by imposing new tariffs on Korean products, restricting South Korean business operations in China, launching consumer boycotts against Korean brands, as seen in past Japan-South Korea disputes. However, given the current dominance of U.S. trade policies, Beijing may choose to accelerate its domestic chip production rather than risk an all-out trade war with South Korea. Who wins in the short term? The U.S. strengthens its control over global semiconductor supply while limiting China's access to critical components. South Korea secures greater access to the U.S. market with investment incentives and security assurances. China faces a severe short-term chip shortage, especially in EV production and high-tech manufacturing. The long-term game. Will China catch up? Despite its current struggles, China remains a manufacturing powerhouse. Some analysts believe that, although U.S. restrictions have slowed its progress, Beijing will eventually develop its own chip ecosystem, similar to how it dominated battery technology and electric vehicles over time. Meanwhile, South Korea must navigate a delicate balance. While strengthening ties with the U.S. seems beneficial now, Seoul will likely reassess its relationship with China in the future, especially if economic interests demand it. For now, the U.S.-South Korea alliance is reshaping the global tech landscape, with China facing increasing challenges in semiconductors, electric vehicles, and high-tech manufacturing. How Beijing responds in the coming months will determine whether it can break free from foreign chip dependence or remain trapped in a prolonged technology crisis. What do you think? Can China successfully develop its own chip industry and become independent from South Korean suppliers? Is South Korea making the right move by aligning with the U.S., or will losing the Chinese market hurt its economy in the long run? How will these developments reshape the future of the global tech industry? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth analyses on global technology and trade. Stay tuned for more updates.